Hello, I'm Father Louis Scurti with Sister Diane Collesano, and today we're introducing part 2 of a very beautiful story, Blessed Miriam Teresa Damjanovich from Bayonne, New Jersey. Diane, welcome again. Actually, you're welcoming me because this is your home as well.
It is.
We are in the chapel of the Holy Family here at the Mother House of the Sisters of Charity of St. Elizabeth Convent Station. And here we had a beautiful picture of her college yearbook.
Correct.
And Blessed Miriam was a student here. I know you didn't teach her.
No, I didn't. Did not have that blessing.
Miriam died at 27 years old.
Correct.
And various complications from illnesses that today probably would have been taken care of with an antibiotic and an operation. But nevertheless, in her lifetime, she revealed, in that short lifetime, sanctity.
Absolutely.
And we have her brother and her spiritual director, Father Bradley, to thank for that. The last time you were together, we spoke about Sister's youth in Bayonne, her high school years, and you left off with something that her principal wrote to St. Elizabeth's College at that point.
Correct.
What was
she
that?
would bring great honor to her alma mater.
And to
Bayonne, a Bayonne
New
girl.
Jersey, United States.
That's right.
And this is such a rare experience that she was recently beatified at the Basilica of the Sacred Heart.
It's the first beatification that happened within the United States.
That's wonderful.
So it was certainly a momentous occasion, and I think we're all still feeling the joy of the event here.
Absolutely. What an honor, though. I mean, so many people were able to attend because it was in that beautiful
Right.
basilica.
There were about 2,200 people in the basilica itself.
And that was packed. It was
Yes.
wonderful. I saw it on TV, and the diocese, the Brooklyn diocese, did a beautiful job of taping the whole thing and presenting. It was just excellent. Let's talk about her entrance into college.
Well, after graduating high school, Sister Miriam's mother became very ill. And so she stayed home for 2 years after high school to care for her mother. And this way, her rest of the family could go to work. And her brother was then able to enter the seminary as a result.
Okay.
But she stayed home to care for her mother until her mother's death. It was her mother's dying wish that Theresa go to college.
Good.
She knew of her intelligence and very much wanted her to do so. So upon her mother's death, the whole family voted that she was to come to the College of St. Elizabeth. It was not her first choice. She wanted to enter Carmel at that time. She had already developed a wonderful interior life of prayer. And she believed that in Carmel, this would continue to grow.
And she didn't choose Teresa. That was her name.
That was her baptismal name.
And of course, later on in her life, she chose
Miriam
Avila
Teresa.
And
Right,
Monsieur,
exactly.
both as patrons in a sense.
Well, she entered our community the year that Theresa of Lisieux was canonized.
That's great.
And they were both young women, so you could see how there would have been a natural attraction.
And so many parallels in their two lives. Their spirituality came out of their writings, their simplicity of living the order. It was just so beautiful.
And only in religious life a short time, and yet long enough to make a remarkable
Quite an
difference.
impact.
Correct.
Okay, so she graduated. Go ahead.
So after those 2 years of taking care of her mother, she entered the College of St. Elizabeth as a freshman. And because she had stayed home those 2 years, she now was the age that the average freshman would be.
Oh, okay.
So in some ways, that was probably a blessing to stay home because she could enter fully into the normal college life. We know that she was the art editor of the yearbook. She, as I said in the earlier show, she was involved in athletics. She wrote the class song. Her friends here at the college called her Treat. Treat. That was her nickname.
Her brother called her Shrimp.
Right.
She had a slew of nicknames.
Exactly.
Why Treat? Do you have an idea?
It was a takeoff on Theresa.
Oh, Treat, sure.
But one of the things that many college students said about her, and here's where, when Rome beatifies someone, they look for heroic virtue. And we see it in her even as a college student. Fellow college students wrote about her, anything you told her in confidence was never repeated, nor could she be persuaded to speak ill about anyone who was not present. Most of us have fallen into that temptation at times.
Gossip, yeah.
But even as an 18-year-old woman, she showed that mastery of virtue,
That's beautiful.
that others would note it in her.
So maybe for the sake of our audience, talk a little bit about the process, because you mentioned Rome, searched back into her college years and met or back in
Right.
correspondence with students.
When the process began, the actual process, it began in around 1945, 46. It was a diocesan investigation, and they investigated everyone who knew her or any writing from a birthday card to a postcard, anything she had ever written.
Fascinating.
They were looking, first of all, to be sure that her writings were in line with the teaching of the church, but also to see if there was evidence of heroic virtue.
Interesting. I think that the word is a little harsh today, investigation, but it certainly says it all. It investigates every aspect of her life.
Right.
Okay, so what happens when Rome accumulates?
Well, this wasn't Rome. This was the diocesan.
Oh, okay.
Once that was approved and there was evidence, then the process, it gets sent to Rome, and she was declared servant of God by the diocese, then venerable by Rome. And that's when the process then began towards beatification, where we are today.
And I remember seeing her picture on the walls of our school, St. Michael's High School in Jersey City. She's no longer there, but it was Sisters of Charity School. And Sister Rose Marita would always remind us to pray to bless, venerable, and then blessed eventually, Miriam. And, we were high school kids, and, she had the old-fashioned habit on. And, we were like iffy, but who knew? She was our root. She was our neighbor,
Exactly. And that's just it. For us to understand that sanctity comes from the everyday. It comes from all of our homes that is possible.
Yes, beautiful, beautiful. Any other stories about her college years?
When she was a college student here, she did attend her senior prom with a young man from Fordham. And
Wow.
according to stories, she danced all night. It was at a hotel in New York. So she enjoyed all of the wholesome, wonderful
That's
activities.
wonderful.
And yet at the same time, it was known already among the sisters who would see her come to Mass and to prayer that she had already developed a deep, deep interior life. While she was a college student here, she records that she had a vision of the Blessed Mother.
Yeah, I read that. That's
from
interesting.
in her dorm here at Santa Rita Hall, that she did have a vision that Our Lady appeared to her. It was simply a vision. No words were exchanged. But she asked her best friend the next day, "Do you think I'm crazy that I saw this?" And her friend said to her, "Teresa, if it had been anyone else but you, I'd say that. But if you know, I believe you saw what you saw."
And she looked like this
Exactly.
when that was going on.
Right.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah.
What an impression she had to make on her classmates.
She did. She made a powerful impression on her classmates. It was better known as, if you need something done, go ask Treat.
Isn't that great? That's
She
great.
was that type of person who often would pick up the pieces of what needed to be done in her class.
Beautiful. Like St. Teresa of Lisieux, she spoke about the desire to become a saint someday. And I remember St. Teresa's writings talk about spending eternity doing good on earth. Anything like that in her writings, as far as you remember?
What we see in Sister Miriam are two very powerful things in her writing. The first is, and this remembers the 1920s, long before Vatican II, she's writing that everyone is called to holiness. She says, "Chom Jones, you the baker, the butcher, you're all called to holiness."
The universal call to holiness.
And
Absolutely.
she spoke about the indwelling of the Holy Spirit within each person. That we could experience now a taste of the Trinity in heaven.
And finally, in Vatican II, we hear this being proclaimed as our ministry. This has been Father Louis Scurti discussing with Sister Diane, Sister Miriam Teresa's life here at St. Elizabeth's College. And we're going to pick up with part 3 soon, and we're going to enter her into the religious life. Thank you for joining us, and thank you, Sister Diane, for having us.